Hi, everyone. Welcome to the month of January for your book talk. And with it being a new year, we're talking about getting some new books into your hands. I hope that you're already reading something great, but in case you aren't, maybe one of these books will be something to add to your list and a book that you might want to stop by our library to check out in the next couple of days or weeks, whether that's through the curbside checkout or stopping by to check it out in person. If you have any questions still about how to reserve a book, be sure and reach out to me or to Mrs. Kump, and we would be happy to help. Before we get into the books, you may have already heard about this announcement through your advisory, but our Read Club is still meeting every, 5 or 6 weeks. We're getting together on Zoom, and even if you've not been a part of it before, we would love to see you on Wednesday, February 10th. We're going to get together on that day. There will be information coming out on Schoology in a couple of days with the Zoom link and the times. But what we're going to do this time around is try to escape from Hogwarts. If you are familiar with the Harry Potter books or the movies or both, heck, even if you're not, if you don't know anything about Harry Potter, I don't think you'd have to enjoy being a part of this escape room. It's lots of brain teasers and puzzles, and we could use your help and would love to see you there. It should be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see if we can get out of there in 30 minutes or less. And the more of us that we have, the better chances we have of getting out of there in the time allotted. So please plan on joining us if you have that time available on Wednesday, February 10th. Again, there will be info coming out on Schoology next week, and you can look for that. And as always, send me a message if you have any questions. The first book I'm sharing today is No More Dead Dogs by Gordon Korman. He is one of my favorite middle school funny authors because he tends to write books from the perspective of kids who are in their teenage years who are going through real life kinds of problems, but in ways that are pretty darn funny. And in this story, we have a kid named Wallace. His first name is Wallace. His last name is Wallace. I always found that to be kind of funny. And he is so sick of writing books, reading books about dogs who die at the end. Wallace has read many stories where he gets really emotionally connected to the dog, right? The dog is the family pet. The dog saves someone in the story. The dog is a rescue animal. But then Wallace claims, I get so connected to the animal, and then by the end of the book or the story, the dog dies. He is refusing to do his English assignment right now because he knows the dog is going to die at the end of the story, and he is not going to write the paper that has to go along with it. He's fed up. Well, his English teacher is not going to allow that. He tells Wallace, too bad, you have to write it, and if you need to, I will keep you after school in the auditorium while I direct the school play. And you can sit there until you write this paper, even if it takes, weeks. Oh, God, poor Wallace. He's sitting back there. He is just dragging his feet. And he finds himself annoyed because he's missing his football practice. That's something he loves to do. He doesn't want to write this paper. He doesn't want to read the end of the book. And he also is getting distracted by this play. He cannot help but have comments and advice about how the play should go. And he finds himself very surprised to get involved in this play, something he never thought he'd do. No More Dead Dogs is full of fun and funny stuff. You've got to find out what happens in this book. Our next one, Moose Tracks by Mary Casanova, is written by a local Minnesota author. Perfect for those of you that love to be in the great outdoors. It's set in Minnesota. It's set in kind of the North Woods area. And if you like hunting or fishing or just spending time outside in our natural environment here, you're going to enjoy some parts of this book. This is the story of Seth, whose stepfather is a game warden, someone whose job it is to make sure that rules of hunting and fishing are being followed. So Seth knows some of those rules, living with his stepdad. One day he happens to see some folks doing some illegal hunting, some poaching of a baby moose. He notices that this happens, and those who are doing the poaching notice Seth. So they know what they're doing. They know they're doing it illegally. They know they're not supposed to kill a baby moose. That is not allowed. And when they do so, and they notice Seth see it, this quote that you see here is what happens. One of the men picks Seth up and asks him if he likes his family. When Seth says yes, he says, "Keep this to yourself, or somebody might get hurt." In other words, they're threatening Seth and letting him know, if you go tell your stepdad what you saw here, we're going to make sure that we're coming after you. If Seth tells his stepdad what happens, the poachers could threaten his family. They could come after his family. If he doesn't, of course, he's part of breaking the law. He's got a tough decision to make here. Read the book to find out what Seth does in this situation. And if you've ever been in a spot of trying to make a tough choice about anything, you will relate to his situation here. The Strange Case of Origami Yoda by Tom Engelberger. This book is full of humor, but it is in the fantasy section, and you'll know why in just a moment. This is about a kid named Dwight who doesn't really have any friends. He's in 6th grade. He, sits alone in the cafeteria. He often does some kind of weird behaviors or things that at least kids think are kind of odd. And so he ends up sitting by himself and kids just sort of leave him alone. Until one day he makes an origami Yoda from Star Wars, the movies. And making this origami, this folded paper Yoda, he makes it into a finger puppet and starts talking with it. Now you might say to yourself, that seems like kind of an odd behavior, and that seems like something that maybe is going to make kids go even farther away from Dwight. The thing is, though, Origami Yoda begins to talk a little bit on his own and make predictions about things that are happening in their school. Origami Yoda predicts the date of a pop quiz correctly. He guesses who stole something in one of the classrooms, and he guesses it correctly. He saves another classmate from something, some embarrassing things happening by giving some pretty good advice. And all of a sudden, because all of these things are happening, Dwight's classmates begin to believe that Yoda is kind of a genius, and they also believe that Dwight must have some kind of superpower himself because he can get Origami Yoda to talk. Dwight's popularity begins to rise, and it's kind of crazy because that wasn't happening before. If you'd like to find out what happens with Origami Yoda, this is actually the first book in a series of books, all connected a little bit to Star Wars. So if you're a fan of those movies and books, you could see some connections here as well. And if you like the fantasy element of here, a piece of paper coming to life, you will enjoy this book. Lila and Hadley by Cody Keplinger is the story of a girl saving a dog, but also maybe a dog saving a girl. I'm going to let the author tell you a bit about this story.
Hi, my name is Cody Keplinger, and I am the author of Lila and Hadley. Lila and Hadley is about a 12-year-old girl named Hadley who has to move in with her older sister after her mother is sent to jail. Hadley's obviously not happy about this. She hasn't seen her older sister in a long time, and she's pretty angry about the situation. One day, while visiting a dog rescue where her sister works, she meets Lila. Hadley has always said that she is not a dog person. She maintains from the beginning that she's not a dog person. She doesn't care about dogs. But then, while walking down one aisle, she looks towards one of the kennels and sees this pit bull who, unlike all the other dogs, isn't coming up and jumping on the fence to see her. She's just sort of laying there staring at Hadley. And Hadley has this moment where she sees a little bit of herself in this dog. So I was born legally blind. I have a condition that made me lose most of my sight at birth. So unlike Hadley, my vision didn't get worse. It's always been about the same. Hadley, however, has a condition called retinitis pigmentosa. Hadley is losing her vision. She is going blind, and she has to go through some training of her own to learn how to use a cane and learn other skills that will help her as her vision gets worse. And Lila ends up being a big part of what helps her get through some of that. Everyone who's ever been frustrated or felt angry or felt alone, or even just everyone who's ever had a pet that they really, really loved, I think that there's a little bit of something here for every kid to find. And I hope that readers will pick the story up and will fall in love with Lila the way Hadley does. Look for my book, Lila and Hadley, at your Scholastic Book Fair.
I hope that you will pick up this book in our library. Another one for your consideration is an adventure story called Kidnap Kids by Todd Strasser. And we have a number of books in our library about kidnapping in a bunch of different ways. So I could suggest easily 10 titles. This one's interesting and it's different because the story begins with two kids in a family, they're brothers, kidnapping their parents. And they do so because their parents are workaholics. They work all the time. They're so focused on their jobs that these kids are feeling like they don't matter anymore. Like their parents don't pay any attention to them. They're constantly with a babysitter. They're eating junk, basically because they don't have any actual meals being given to them because their parents are so focused on their work. They've got their computers and their phones out all the time, answering emails, answering calls. It is constant. It's not like it's just a day here or a day there. It is all the time. And these kids are sick and tired of it. They've decided they're over it. They're going to kidnap their parents, bring them to a cabin, and show them, we're done. We need to have our parents back. But things don't turn out the way that they expect because this kidnapping story turns out to become a bigger problem. The boy's mother is a big-time lawyer. She's involved in the prosecution of a terrorist group. That's her job, her work. And these terrorists find out where this family has gone, and they decide to come after the family. This story quickly goes from kind of a humorous start, with these boys deciding to teach their parents a lesson, all the way into something that becomes far more serious. Try out Kidnap Kids by Todd Strasser. It is a page-turner. I wanted to end my book talk today reminding you that there is a great way for you to shop for books on Destiny Discover. And you can do this at any time, day or night. You can search for books by title, author, genre, subject. There's so many ways for you to look for great books, graphic novels, nonfiction, all kinds of things that you might want to be reading. And, if any of the books that I shared today didn't sound like good ones, there are ways for you to look for books on your own. So I wanted to remind you today how to get there. You go to the VMS homepage, so starting out by, going to the Valley page. From there, you select the Academics tab at the top, and one of the options listed below Academics is the Library Media Center. From there, you click on the button that looks like this, and that's where we're going to go right now. So if you haven't been here in a while, Destiny Discover looks like this. When you click on the button, you'll see this Welcome to the Library banner at the top. When you scroll down, this changes about every 2 weeks, thanks to Mrs. Kump. She goes in, every 9 or 10 days. She adds new books. She throws in a different collection of some kind just to give people something different to look at. Right now, she just added our books from the book fair. And so you could scroll through and take a look to see what was added from the book fair. You can click on any of the books. You'll see that Lila and Hadley, one of the books I shared with you today, happens to be there. And if I click on that, not only does it give me a nice summary of the book, I can also see by looking in the corner here if that book is in or available right now. When I keep scrolling down, just a reminder that you can use these topic buttons to look by genre. If some of the adventure books I shared today sounded good, you could look by adventure. If you know that you're a graphic novel fan, you could take a look there. If you like funny books, you could, start by going to that section, for example. If you want to see what ebooks we have available and you want to use that Mac and Via app that's already on your iPad, you could take a look by looking here. I want to also point out, if I can find it here. Oh, I don't see it at the moment. Anyway, there are lots of other good ways to do some searching. Of course, you can use the search bar up here at the top simply by searching up a title, searching an author. That's another way to do a good search for yourself using Destiny Discover. So just a reminder that that is here for you to do some shopping for books that you might want to read, especially if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to read any of the books that Mrs. Martin suggested, but I have an idea of something else I might want to look at. I really appreciate your time and you guys tuning in to listen to these book talks. I hope that something I suggested either here today or in the last couple of months has sounded good to you. Please reach out on Schoology if there's something I can help you with. And in the meantime, be well and happy reading.